And a very happy Wednesday to you at 12:08 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
John, on this program, we get some very strange requests. Yesterday, we were going through the latest podcast appearance by former Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price.
She called me a crime boss.
Where we got a brand new drop of Pamela Price sounding strange.
Yeah.
Well, she sounds a little bit like the fake doctor.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
So one listener emailed us after they heard this,
Yeah.
and they heard this,
Yeah.
and they decided, Randy, is it time to update the good old dueling banjos?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Wow, could you imagine those two sitting on a porch together? I think only one makes it out alive. But that's a trick question because Barbara Ferrer died a long time ago.
Next slide.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, as many of you know, I grew up in Garden Grove, which sits in the shadow of Sleeping Beauty's castle, as Disneyland is right next door. Disneyland, of course, is best known for Mickey and Minnie. But Randy, the rodents that are now occupying much of the state of California have nothing to do with Walt Disney.
There's a lot of rat infestations that have been in the news, especially in the Bay Area. I think it was a ferry in Vallejo that had to be shut down because it was taken over by rats. And in Cupertino, in the Bay Area, in the center of the tech world, a Whole Foods has been closed for months now because of a rat infestation.
Now, if you're thinking, okay, that Whole Foods is neglecting its responsibility to make sure it's healthy, no. Whole Foods isn't to blame for this.
See, when the health department shut down Whole Foods, they expected it to clear up the problem and reopen within 24 hours. Happens all the time at different kinds of food establishments. But when Whole Foods hired the pest control company to get rid of the rats, the pest control company said, hey, are you aware we have a new state law that we can't use rat poison anymore? And the rats are too smart with the traps, so we can't get rid of them.
And so now we just have rats all over the state.
Yes. In fact, according to pest control companies, the two most rat-infested cities in the United States are San Francisco and Los Angeles.
I guess the new state law isn't working.
For more, here's a report from NBC in the Bay Area.
The Whole Foods in Cupertino that shut down months ago because of a rodent problem is still closed tonight. The store has been working to
I think all the food went bad.
You think?
The store has been working to trap and remove the rats, but the prolonged closure is raising questions about whether a new state ban on powerful rat poison is making it harder to get rid of this type of infestation. Investigative reporter Hilda.
Oh, it's once again the law of unintended consequences.
Okay, if you're trying to kill the rats, but you can't use poison, what are you supposed to do? Give them the COVID vaccine?
Investigative reporter Hilda Gutierrez joins us now with more. Hilda.
California is one of the most rat-infested states, but also...
Did you know that?
We pay a fortune to live here.
I always thought, the stereotype was that New York was the rat capital with the Rat King and everything else. But no, it's L.A. and SF.
How is it that we're worse than them? They just put their trash out on the street and just let it pile up into a mountain.
Well, we don't want to kill rats with poison anymore, which means there's going to be more rats.
California is one of the most rat-infested states, but also now has the toughest rodenticide restrictions in the country. According to Santa Clara County's Department of Environmental Health, the new poison restrictions may even explain why the Whole Foods in Cupertino has been closed for months.
They can't catch all the rats.
Of course they can't. That's why they need the poison.
At this point, they should demolish the building. It's over. It's done.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd grocery shop there.
This Whole Foods in Cupertino has been closed and fenced off since April after health inspectors found rodent droppings in food prep areas and live cockroaches in the bakery.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, if someone brings you a fruitcake for Christmas and it came from that bakery, be careful.
Hey, at least the rats and cockroaches are organic.
The county's top environmental health official says 3 months is far longer than the typical shutdown for a pest problem.
90 days of no operation, of employees not being able to work, of customers not being able to buy food at this Whole Foods because of rats.
I would love to know who the idiot assemblyman was who authored that legislation.
Oh, we'll talk to him.
For a pest problem.
I'm shocked by the complaints, but I am shocked. I mean, typically we will, an infestation can be dealt with. We'll have people asking for a reopening in 24 hours, 2 days, 3 days.
So what's taking so long? One major difference, Whole Foods can't use the same rat poison other businesses had used before. Dr. Underwood says the grocery store's pest control company went as far as requesting a waiver from the county to use it, but was denied.
You know, the government's supposed to help facilitate businesses and commerce and consumerism and certainly nutritious foods being available in their community. No, not there.
This Whole Foods is for the rats, and for the rats only, for a very long time.
Oh, believe me, we got a call from the parent company. Probably if they were allowed to use rodenticides, maybe Whole Foods would be open sooner.
We reached out to Whole Foods for confirmation, but they only said their goal is to reopen as quickly as possible.
They're owned by Amazon. Amazon doesn't give a crap about Whole Foods, and you know that if you've shopped at Whole Foods in the last 5 years.
No, the only way they'd care is if that's where Lauren Sanchez shopped.
We reached out to Whole Foods for confirmation, but they only said their goal is to reopen as quickly as possible and fully address the issue. This includes their ongoing maintenance.
You know, it'll actually work out for Amazon because they just can't operate any food businesses there, but you could probably still open the rat-infested Whole Foods if you're just there to drop off your Amazon returns.
Okay, here's something that just popped into my head. How about this? Instead of sending all of those defective car seats to that woman in San Jose, why not send them to this Whole Foods that's not even open in Cupertino?
This includes their ongoing maintenance and repairs. California's new Poison-Free Wildlife Act bans blood-thinning rodenticides with limited exceptions for public health, water protection, or agriculture.
Can we just give them Geritol?
But not grocery stores? So you're saying they can use it where they grow the blueberries, but not where they sell them?
Yes. Apparently, the grocers didn't have a big enough lobbying check for that one.
Okay, let's just think about that for a second. How does that make any sense? It's immoral to use it at the place where you purchase the food, but where the food is grown, you can use it.
Oh, just wait till you hear the lawmaker who wrote this with his explanation.
The law was passed to protect wild animals like mountain lions that consume the poison animals.
But wait, there's no mountain lions in the Whole Foods. The mountain lions are out in the boondocks where they grow the stuff.
I guess in the state of California's mind, a rat is going to be born inside that Whole Foods, get affected by the poison, leave that Whole Foods on a Feifel-style journey out to the mountains where he gets eaten by a mountain lion, and then the mountain lion turns blue.
Seems about right.
A 2023 state report found toxins in 90% of tested pumas.
Some of these rat poisons can cause wildlife.
But if you're not banning it in the farmlands, that's not going to change. You're just banning it in the places where you don't have pumas.
Okay, yesterday when we did the story about Just Say Hello, I thought that was the dumbest thing that I could hear all week. And now it's got some competition.
What can I say? I've got an eye for the dumbest thing you've ever heard in California.
Some of these rat poisons can cause wildlife to behave abnormally and strangely.
Jonathan Evans with the Center for Biological Diversity has helped pass 3 bills limiting toxic rodent control, arguing that poisoning predators disrupts the ecosystem and could actually make the rot problem worse.
So what are you saying? We need to put a puma inside the Whole Foods and it'll eat all the rats?
No, but we now know they can't use the poison. It's not making the rat problem worse if you use the poison. When they used the poison, it was fine. Now they can't use the poison, and the rats took over.
And the places where the predators are still going to eat the rats, they're still allowed to use that poison.
There are some wildlife species like barn owls that eat up to 5 mice a night. So if we're poisoning these upper-level predators, we're really harming.
Okay, Whole Foods, you need to get yourself an owl.
Maybe that's the answer.
So if we're poisoning these upper-level predators, we're really harming our own best approach for rodent control.
But now there is no rodent control.
None. Just traps that the rodents avoid.
Still, the ban had vocal critics, especially from agriculture and pest-controlled industries.
These products, on a very technical level, some require much more consumption. And so maybe we'll see less, consumption on a bait block and assume that there are fewer rodents. But, different materials require different dosages to actually impact the rodents. Not every one of these boxes will have a rodenticide present.
More consumption means it can take more time and money to eliminate them. At Clark Pest Control, the pivot means more sealing and traps. But rats are clever and can sneak through tiny openings.
About a 1/4 inch for a mouse to enter and about a 1/2 inch for a rat to enter.
This Whole Foods is never reopening.
What are the people in that neighborhood supposed to do if their grocery store is closed?
What if you have to take the ferry in Vallejo?
I think I'd starve.
We have seen where they will use a stick to set off the trap, then take the food off of the trap. We have seen that.
Well, you've heard it a million times. You build a better mousetrap, you get smarter mice.
In the literal sense.
We have seen that where a technician will notice gnaw marks on the backside of the trap. They will pull it or will drop it to have it go off, so then they can safely get the food and go away.
And rats were a problem in California before the ban. In 2023, the Bay Area ranked as the second most rat-infested region in the country.
And so we took the one tool that we had to get rid of them away.
So the Bay Area is number 2. Who's number 1?
Followed by L.A.
Why is L.A. always number 1 at the worst things?
I've got an idea.
According to Terminix's own internal business data. But since the poison ban went into effect this year, we've reported on weeks-long canceled food sales at 2 Walgreens in Santa Clara County due to vermin contamination.
Oh my, you can't get your Cheetos at Walgreens.
Okay, so your grocery store is shut down, and so is your pharmacy.
Yep.
In 299 ranch markets in Milpitas and Cupertino recently closed for a week for the same reason.
Okay, I'm not surprised about that whatsoever. You ever been to one of those?
Nope, but I have no plans on going anytime soon.
Those are the markets where they got the upside-down rabbits in the front window. Shocker that those are not safe by the health department.
Upside-down rabbits?
Yes.
Literal dead rabbits?
Yes.
I know what upside-down pineapples mean.
That's a different topic for a different day.
Still, experts caution it's too early to blame the ban.
Well, if when a grocery store was shut down by the health department and it used to reopen in a matter of days, and now it takes months and months and months, and there's no date where they think they're going to reopen it, you might be able to attribute this to the ban on rat poison.
Oh, but don't blame them.
We can look off of other data points of what types of calls we're getting from customers, but it can be tough to isolate that down to this rodenticide change alone.
The reality is, I think they can still do trapping methods in these. It's more like it's kind of old school, right? It's old school to use these other methods. They're still effective. They just don't.
No, they're actually not.
No, it's been closed for over a month.
3 months.
They just don't happen as fast.
Whole Foods, Walgreens, and 99 Ranch Market didn't comment on the possible effects of the rodenticide ban. The experts we spoke to also say there are other factors affecting rodent populations, like extreme weather, fires that cause displacement, and urban development. I'm Hilda Gutierrez, NBC Bay Area. We investigate.
So there's that.
Well, I'm just surprised they didn't blame it on COVID. What are you going to do? If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Spencer writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Guys, the Castaic Ralph's has been shut down 3 times in the past 2 months because of rodents, and now the homeless are moving in.
God.
And Will writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. I think the only place anyone should worry about rat poison is at City Hall. Those rat bastards are at the highest risk.
They had a rat problem, too. Remember that?
Yes, they did.
And if you'd like to listen to the podcast edition of this program after we sign off at 3, Randy, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe, and download all the episodes, or
do a Google on YouTube.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Well, this is really exciting. I'm so excited to be giving this one away. 790 KABC welcomes Shucked, the Tony Award-winning musical comedy about corn. It's coming to the Hollywood Pantages Theater August 19th through September 7th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. I think I'm going next week. Right now, call in number 9 at 1-888-795-2222. Gets a pair of tickets to the August 28th show. Tickets furnished by the Hollywood Pantages Theater. Good luck dialing.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Coming up after the news at 1, Luke Melcher joins us. He was the one that uncovered the squatting going on in Pacific Palisades in the burn area. Let's go to Patrick at El Camino. Patrick, hello.
Hey, John. How's it going today?
Good.
So I was listening to that first story about the rat infestation, and what really came to mind was the old Hollywood Squares and Paul Lynde. The rats are winning.
Well, they are at Whole Foods.
It's pretty apropos. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do, but another virtue signal gone wrong. You guys have a great day.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. All right. Well, all of this is going on. We live in a state, in a one-party state, where the ruling Democrats can pretty much get away with whatever it is they want to do, including things that are illegal. At the Los Angeles City Council, one member, Curran Price, has been under indictment for some time. Now, the authorities say he actually committed more crimes than we thought in the first place.
For more on the latest charges that are being filed by the LA County District Attorney's Office at sitting LA City Councilman Curran Price, here's a report from KCAL.
Tonight, an LA City leader facing new criminal charges. The DA's office tacking on 2 more corruption charges against Curran Price.
KCAL News.
And the weirdest thing about this when this started is this started during the Gascon days.
Yes, and Gascon was willing to allow all crime to occur.
KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers is at the desk. And Mike, tonight you're hearing from the councilman's legal team.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Pat Rudabay. Tonight we're hearing from his legal team, who is saying basically this is just a desperate attempt by the DA's office to build a weak case. We'll show you a video of when Curran Price was in court recently, or when this all started. Remember, he was previously charged.
They couldn't show him at City Council today because he didn't show up.
Well, he had other business to attend to.
He was previously charged in 2023. Now, the DA's office alleges through subpoenas they have uncovered some more evidence accusing him of public corruption. This all has to do with money that he allegedly voted to approve that then the DA's office alleges went to his wife's business. There's 2 different...
That is as straight up corruption as you can get. That's pretty much what they've got Shangy for.
Okay, so I read the article in the LA Times that covered this. Just wait until you hear his arguments.
When...
The argument is he didn't direct the funds to the wife's groups because it was an overwhelming vote on council, and his vote wasn't the vote that put it over the top. So they're saying you're only guilty of corruption if it's, I don't know, an 8-7 vote. If it's an 8-7 vote and you were part of the 8, then you're guilty. But if it's a 15-0 vote and you vote for it, then you're not guilty because it would have passed anyway. They're also saying that he's not guilty of corruption. He might be guilty of grand theft, but the statute of limitations ran out on that.
The fact that he is not stepped down, the fact that the city council has not asked for him to step down the way they did with Mark Ridley Thomas tells me that what they think happened here is stuff that they've all done.
Listen to this. I'm going to read the paragraph directly out of the LA Times. Schaffler, who is Price's attorney, also argued that the embezzlement charges are invalid because Price did not have control over the funds used to pay for Richardson's health care, which is a required element of the crime under California law. Price's conduct might meet the definition of grand theft, Schaffler wrote in 2023, but the statute of limitations for that crime had long expired. His own attorney said that he probably committed grand theft, but that you can't charge him with it because the statute of limitations expired. That's his attorney.
Went to his wife's business. There's two different situations here, one through LA Metro and one through another account involving the housing authority in the city of Los Angeles. That current
Isn't this the same exact crap that Dr. Valicia Adams-Kellum was doing as the head of LASA, where she was writing checks of taxpayer money to her husband's nonprofit?
Well, this is probably the reason why they allow him to continue to serve on that council and vote. Because he didn't do anything the rest of them didn't do too. And he knows where the bodies are buried.
In the city of Los Angeles, that Curran Price, according to the DA's office, approved that money that then was given awards to his wife's company. That's the public corruption charge. The DA's office says his staff flagged those items before the vote, meaning that according to the DA's office, he was aware that there was a conflict of interest, which is prohibited by law. Tonight.
So if his staff told him, hey, there's a conflict here, you should recuse yourself, and he didn't, what does that say?
Well, it tells me that someone that he pissed off on the staff is who went to the government.
Tonight, Curran Price's attorneys are speaking out. We'll show you part of their statement. It says, quote, more than 2 years later, the DA's amended complaint is nothing more than an attempt to pile on to a weak case. They have gone back as much as 6 years, combing through thousands and thousands of votes to find a couple more allegedly conflicted votes. Statement goes on to...
Well, not every one of my votes was corrupt.
That's quite an argument.
Statement goes on to say, hoping that the public will overlook the fact that there is no evidence whatsoever that Councilmember Price was aware of the alleged conflicts when he voted for the agenda items. That statement directly contradicts what the DA's office is saying tonight, because the DA's office accuses Curran Price of knowing because his staff, according to the DA's office, flagged it before he made those votes. Guys?
So there's the latest there. What's interesting about this is usually, and I say usually because it happens constantly, the charges against sitting members of the LA City Council come from the feds. This one came locally.
And what's interesting on top of that is that rumors swirl all through the city all the time. There had been rumors going around that Curran Price was being investigated by the feds, I don't know, going back 5 or 6 years. I had heard them for a very long time. And then when he was indicted and we saw, oh, it's the locals that are charging him, I said, that's not what I was told. I was told it was the feds that were investigating him.
Sometimes those federal investigations take a very, very, very long time, but eventually the indictments come.
Just ask Shang.
Poor Shangy. I was listening to one of her staffers on some random Oakland politics podcast saying that she's going to have her day in court and she's going to clear her name.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen. So this is what's going on at LA City Hall. Then we have a scandal of brewing up in Sacramento involving the Speaker of the State Assembly, who is the one that's redrawing all of the congressional lines here in California, Robert Rivas's office.
Robert Rivas just had to fire his press secretary for doing something inappropriate. For more, here's a report from KCRA 3.
On to some breaking news at the state capitol tonight. The press secretary for Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas has been fired following an investigation.
By the way, what does that press secretary do? He doesn't do interviews or hold press conferences.
No, you want to talk about someone who's not ready for prime time. Just pay attention to that guy.
Following an investigation into inappropriate comments, a complaint was filed against Cynthia Moreno. Those allegations were investigated by the legislature's Workplace Conduct Unit. After the investigation...
Is that the same unit that had to go after Mark Ridley Thomas's kid?
Well, there were a whole bunch of them that got in trouble.
After the investigation, Moreno was sent a letter notifying her the Workplace Conduct Unit concluded its investigation of allegations that you repeatedly made inappropriate comments of a sexual nature to various employees.
Oh, my.
She's a horn dog, huh?
What was in those emails? What was she saying?
Are you alleging it's text or pics?
Might be everything. Whose ass was she pinching?
It goes on to say the Assembly has decided to terminate your at-will employment effective immediately. Now, Moreno spoke with KCRA3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala and sent us this statement saying, "It is unfortunate that a process I truly believe to be just, legal, unbiased, and transparent turned out to be the exact opposite. But more alarming is how easy it can be for a few individuals to come together and make blatant and false accusations against me in an attempt to cause harm and slander my name."
This is a conspiracy.
Well, in her defense, you notice everything is cloaked in secrecy. At no point do they tell you what she did.
I want to know what she said.
And this is what's wrong with it, because quote unquote sexual harassment could mean any number of things. It could mean, hey, I like the cut of your suit. Am I right?
You might need to take that class again, Johnny.
No, but everyone's definition of sexual harassment is different. If you're like the people in the vignettes and the videos that we have to watch, of course, that's obvious.
Now, that's just part of what she had to say. We have much more of Ashley's coverage on the KCRA3 mobile app.
So there's the latest there. The press secretary for Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas abruptly fired for alleged sexual harassment to several employees at the state.
This just goes to show you how much California needs a California Post, because they would find out what happened and they'd put it in the paper. I'm sure there are going to be lawsuits associated with this, and we're all going to have to be the ones that pony up the money. And we don't even get to know what was said. So much for transparency. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Jeff writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com on the Cupertino South Bay rodent infestation. Guys, it's not just the Cupertino Whole Foods. Being about 3 miles away, there's rats here too. I've seen them running across the streets, down the gutters, on the fences. Hate to confess, these bastards invaded neighbors' homes too. I'll be asking a friend that frequently travels to Texas by vehicle to pick me up some of that good stuff. Democrats are not for the people.
You have to sneak a lot of stuff in through Texas. Have you noticed that?
Like what?
Like, I don't know if I should admit to this publicly, but if you want a pot filler for your coffee machine, I'm not saying I have one. I'm just saying that people like them. And you want to install it in your house in California, you can't legally do that because coffee drinkers are responsible for the drought. So if you want a pot filler for your coffee machine in California, you have to order it to someone's address in Texas and then bring it with you in your luggage when you come here on American Airlines. I know someone who considered doing that at one point. I don't know if they actually ended up doing it.
It's such an interesting thing about these United States of America is some way the only way to get around insane laws is to just go somewhere else. Like, for instance, if you're in Texas and you want to buy hard alcohol on a Sunday, you better drive up to Oklahoma or over to New Mexico.
Yeah, their alcohol rules are really screwy.
You can't buy booze at a grocery store. You can buy beer and wine at a grocery store, but you have to go to a specific liquor store like a Specs or a Total Wine.
And they charge a fortune for it, too.
That is true.
Alcohol sales are one of the few good things the state of California does. You can buy it anywhere.
Well, except the self-checkout line, and there's a story about that we might get to later.
Well, just give it time and the Girl Scouts will be selling scotch, too.
Tequila does pair really well with cookies. I'm just saying.
A lot pairs well with cookies, especially the Samoas. All right. I was watching a clip on social media earlier today that had Chris Matthews on it. We haven't seen him in a while. And he was saying that the Democrats are falling for a trap when they're defending the condition, the safety of big cities in the United States. Because Trump has been critical of the police departments and the city leaders in places like Washington, D.C. and Oakland, California for their inability to keep people safe. What are the Democrats in those cities doing? They're saying they're safe, there's nothing to see here, but everyone knows that's not true. And Randy, they're now doing that in Oakland.
For more on Oakland leaders' response to Trump's threats of sending in the National Guard to deal with big city crime, here's a report from ABC 7 in the Bay Area.
We're not going to allow a military occupation of the city. That's what this president, Donald Trump, wants to do.
Mayor Barbara. Wow, she actually came out of her hidey hole to say something.
Hi, Barbara. We haven't seen you in a while.
Mayor Barbara Lee says Oakland is ready to fight back if President Trump follows through on sending the National Guard to Oakland.
Then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this.
Mayor Lee.
What if Trump watched The Wire?
I wonder if Trump listens to us.
Mayor Lee says the Trump administration has not formally notified the city of sending in the National Guard. Still, one of her concerns is the president calling out Oakland despite a double-digit drop in violent crimes.
Nobody's buying that.
Who believes that?
This is part of his effort to...
You know how you know crime is down in Oakland? In-N-Out comes back.
How often do we do crime blotter stories where the cops don't arrest anyone, no one goes to jail, no one's convicted, there's nothing on the books indicating that a crime happened, but the city is paralyzed by lawlessness?
That's why the residents are constantly asking for a higher power.
Who else are we going to call, Superman?
This is part of his effort to dismantle democracy, to militarize cities where people live.
Well, what about when Gavin Newsom sent in the National Guard to the San Francisco Tenderloin?
Oh, yeah, and he did it to Oakland, too, with the CHP.
Which he does not recognize, understand, or see.
On Tuesday, the Oakland branch of the NAACP held a special meeting to discuss the concerns.
As you know, crime is down.
Nope.
Talk to the crime victims.
And we are on the right track in Oakland.
By the way, Barbara Lee sat down for an interview with Cron 4, and she was asked about all of these claims that crime is down, crime is down, crime is down. Technically, if you look at certain statistics, you can say things like bipping is down compared to last year. But the numbers are still drastically higher than pre-COVID.
Or pre-BLM riots.
Yes, there's that too.
Cynthia Adams, president of the Oakland branch of the NAACP, has concerns about military presence on the streets of Oakland. Retired Alameda County Superior Court Judge Brenda Harbin-Forte says there would be legal challenges to this proposal as well.
Yeah, we know her.
Yeah, she's been on the show a bunch of times.
And we're late for a break.
Well, let's know.